This conference will now be recorded.
Every day there will be a 2 to 3 minutes of recap of yesterday's session. So what we discussed in the last session?
Orchestration. You told about orchestration, and next you told about in Mule what are the things they're available. I mean, features. You told like.
Okay. So what is an orchestration? First we discussed about orchestration.
In Mule we have set of XMLs. In that we have flow description. That will be logic on orchestration.
Okay. Yesterday we discussed about what is an orchestration, what is a mule, and what is an any point platform for mule. Right? That means architecture of any point platform. So what is an orchestration? Can you please give me one liner?
Process of coordinating with multiple systems.
Okay, one person, please. Yeah, Sush. What's your name? How should I call you?
Yeah, you can call me Sush or Sushmita. Anything is fine.
Sushmita. Okay. Yes, Sushmita, please.
Yeah, it's a process of coordinating with multiple systems.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Mansa, you're telling something?
Nothing, sir, said the same. Connecting multiple services to get an output.
Desired output, right? Basically,
Yeah,
the orchestration, the concept is nothing but process of coordinating with the multiple services to get the desired output, correct? So where we write this orchestration logic?
In Mule
flows.
In Mule flows. In a Mule flow, right? Where we write that flow?
In an XML.
I'm not showing the screen which I explained so that I can understand how far you remember. So where we write the flows?
In Anypoint Studio.
In XML.
We need to specifically tell. Okay, it's of course in Anypoint Studio only. We can write an orchestration logic, we can write a flows on Anypoint Studio. But in an Anypoint Studio, we can create a mule application. In that application, we can create an XML file. In that XML file, we can write a mule flow. That mule flow contains orchestration logic. This is the hierarchy, right? Can you please tell me the statement now? What is a mule? How many XMLs you can create?
N number of
XMLs.
How many flows?
N number of
flows.
So can you please tell me the statement now? What is a mule application? What is the hierarchy?
It's a set of XMLs, and each XML contains a number of flows, and each flow contains orchestration logic.
Very good. Assume that we have created a mule application. Where we are going to run that mule application?
In Anypoint Studio.
No.
Mule runtime.
Mule runtime. What is the latest version of a mule runtime?
4.3.
4.3. Okay. Now, what is the first requirement in SDLC? Gathering the requirements, right? After gathering the requirements, you need to
design.
Where you are going to design? What you are designing?
In design center.
API.
Designing an API, right?
API.
So how you are going to describe about that API? Assume that you are exposing as a REST application. How you are going to design that API?
Using RAML.
By using a RAML language. So what is the RAML? RESTful API modeling language, right? Suppose while you are designing the RAML file, if you want to take a feedback from a client, how you will share that API to your client, external client?
By using public portal.
Public portal.
You need to share under the public portal. From where you can share under the public portal?
API manager.
No.
From Exchange.
Anypoint Exchange.
From the
Exchange.
Exchange. Right? Anypoint Exchange or Exchange, both are same. From the Exchange. How we will get it to the Exchange, that API?
We need to
We have
publish
to
it from design center.
Yes, we need to publish from the design center to the Exchange. From the Exchange, you can share to the public portal. Correct? Okay. Who and all are access the APIs from the Exchange?
Internal user.
Internally, that means who are having any point platform account, they can only access that. That's why we have a public portal, another application for the external clients, right? Very good. So once you're done with the design part, what is the next step?
We need to import the YAML file into our Anypoint Studio to get the flows
Okay.
ready.
Perfect. Okay.
Implement.
Implementation. So where we write the implementations? In a
Depends.
Anypoint Studio, right? There are wide variety of strategies, okay, wide variety of integrations, modules, around 300 plus modules are there in Mule in order to write a logic, right? Next, once we write the implementations, then what is the next step?
Okay, test.
test it
We
Test it.
Test. How we can test? How to write
using
the
MU.
Unit.
Unit.
Yes, by using an MUnit framework, we can write the test cases, right? Very good. After writing a test cases, next step,
Can deploy.
deploy. You know how we can deploy, where we can deploy.
There are 4 kind of deployments in MuleSoft.
Okay. What are those?
On-prem, hybrid, hub, runtime.
Hybrid and on-prem
On-prem, hybrid,
and
Hybrid,
runtime.
Cloud
Cloud
Hub,
Hub, and
Cloud
Runtime
runtime.
Fabric.
Cloud Hub,
The Fabric.
runtime.
We are discussing in our program about first 3, right? On-prem, Cloud Hub, and a hybrid model, right?
Hybrid model and
What
runtime
is
also.
on-prem? Runtime Fabric is not part of our sessions, as per
Okay.
not part of our agenda. It is part of
On-premise,
our architecture course.
on-premise, we are building up own server, own environment.
Okay. That
Say
means
local base.
server
Local.
is hosted on a local environment.
Local environment, yes. Sorry.
Hybrid
Hybrid means is a mixed combination of cloud and on-premise.
means what?
Uh,
I'm just getting into the deep. I just want to understand how far you know about it.
okay.
Yes, guys. What is hybrid? I know before coming to the sessions, before joining in onto the Mule, some people will, give a round on all the online tutorials and all. I know that.
No, sir. It's very useful when you are asking these questions. It is very useful.
Yeah. I know.
Daily it can repeat means it is very useful for us.
Yes, obviously the sessions will be. I'm just to give a recap. See, first 2 to 3 sessions, I will spend a lot of time because these are very important. The basic stuff is very important in order to understand the further sessions, right? Without basics, if you go forward directly sitting on writing an Anypoint Studio, it doesn't work, right? So spending time on basic stuff, the fundamentals, it not costs. Okay, so that's what I'm asking. What is hybrid model?
It's a mix of local server and cloud
That
deployment.
means what? Mixture of means what?
Controlling the servers from the cloud credentials.
Come again, Satish.
You need to log into cloud credential to
Okay.
get into the server management.
That means the server is hosting on a cloud platform.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Application runs in local and will deploy in
Only the
cloud.
APIs are running on the cloud, and we are handling from the Anypoint Studio from the local in the
Okay, and this is not a case of APIs. Actually, the point is hybrid means, as rightly said, it's a combination of on-premise with the cloud hub. That means runtime manager which is there on the cloud hub. That means what? your applications are running on a local environment only, right? But it is not hosting on a cloud platform. It is running on your local machine. It is hosting on your local machine only, but it will be acting as a remote deployment. Who are having the AnyPoint platform account, you need to register this on-premise runtime with the runtime manager on a cloud. Registration means what? Only the metadata. In other words, in simple terminology, we can call that as an UI of your on-premises. Okay, UI of your on-premises on a cloud. Only we can manage the on-premises server from the cloud platform, but it is not hosting on a cloud. Okay, that is the meaning. I'll explain with the picture. Right? Very good responses I got. And what is a cloud hub? Quickly.
It's completely on cloud.
Completely on cloud.
It's completely on
Yeah,
cloud platform.
Straight away from writing, designing, till the deployment, applying the policies, everything can be done on the cloud platform itself, right?
Yes, yes.
So I will be going to touch on some part of admin also. Okay, just I'm going to give a brief. Okay, actually it's not part of our agenda, but I will just give a brief how admin use access management application will be used. Right. Next, if you want to, I don't want to give my original implementation to the client. So how can I validate whether the request is coming from the valid client or not? First, I need to. Pardon?
We need to set up the proxy to validate
Yeah.
the client.
We need to create a proxy of my original application, right? We need to create a proxy. Then that proxy means what? It's a dummy of my original implementation, right? So that application also, proxy application also should be deployed in order to receive a request from the client. So proxy also will be having some URL, and that also will be deployed somewhere, right? And my client is sending a request. Then, okay, you need to tell. I am telling all this. You tell me.
We need to apply policies.
Where we can apply a policies?
API manager.
Proxy and API, everything can be done on the API manager itself, right? So how it will be validated? Once client sends a request, the policy will be applied on a proxy. Who will read that policy and who will apply that policy to a proxy? I said one background thread at frequent regular intervals it will be.
It's a security interceptor.
Yeah, security interceptor. Okay, very good. And what is the platform? What is this iPaaS? What is the name of this iPaaS given by the MuleSoft? Cloud Hub. Cloud Hub is the name. Okay, Cloud Hub is the name. Account name is AnyPoint platform account. Okay, all these applications are part of an AnyPoint platform, right? Okay, that's great. I had a very good responses. So everyone are alert to my sessions. Thank you. Today we are going to discuss about first program. We are going to write. See, I think who all are here, those are the final candidates for this batch. So I'm going to share the folder. That means entire folder as I shown yesterday's session. This is the folder which I'm going to give, MuleSoft 4.x folder, which comprises of softwares, AnyPoint Studio software. I'm using 7.5.1. Of course, I know it's a little bit older, but right now the version is what? 7.7. You can directly download from the website, or you can use. Why I'm giving the older version is older versions we cannot get from the website. That's why I'm giving the older version if you want. Okay, you can directly download the website also. You will be getting a 7.7, right? You can use any of. And one more point, I have given a JDK installer, but this is not for official use. I'm on record. I'm telling this is not for official use, because if you are using your Office laptops, please don't use this JDK installer. Okay, because it is not an open JDK no more. Okay, it's not an open JDK, right? When it was a open JDK, I was downloaded that one and I'm using that, right? If you are using below 7.5.1 version, at that point of time, AnyPoint Studio is not coming with an open JDK. That's why we need to explicitly set up a JDK in your machine, right? If you are using a 7.7, that AnyPoint Studio will come with the open JDK. Okay, no need to explicitly set up or install JDK on your machine. What is this JDK? What is this JDK? Why we require this? Yes, why we require this JDK? First of all, what is JDK? Java development kit. Why we require this Java development kit here? Are we writing any Java code?
No, mostly made application developed in Java, so we can support some.
Yes, entire Mule application is developed by using a Java. So behind the scenes, your application is a Java application to run. We are going to develop your Mule application. Means what? You are going to develop your Java application only behind the scenes. So to develop, we require a JDK, right? Once you develop, you need to run that application. We require JRE. Once you install JDK, automatically JRE also is part of that. JRE means Java runtime environment, right? So previously, Anypoint Studio will not come with a JDK. That's why we used to set up a JDK on your machine, right? If you are using a personal laptops, it's up to you. Okay, just check whether Java is installed on your machine or not. And one more thing, it supports explicitly JDK 1.8 and Java version 1.8 or 11, not beyond or above that versions. Less than that versions. Just check how we can check whether Java is installed on my machine or not. Go to the command prompt.
Java minus version.
Version. I have JDK 1.8. There is no problem for me. And before opening this Anypoint Studio, we need to set up some environment variables also, where my system should point to JDK. Okay, I will show that part later when I'm working on a Anypoint Studio, right? And don't when you download that folder, you will not get all these folders. Okay, once you extract the zip file, then only you'll be getting all this. Okay, don't get confused about it. And Mule 4 in labs and workspace. Once you extract that, you will be getting all the documents and the related dependency files for my projects, for my program, right? And I have given only 4.3 runtime. That means standalone runtime, Mule EE distribution standalone 4.3 runtime. Once you extract the zip file, you will be getting this structure. This is the runtime structure. Okay, what is this runtime? Why we need to use this? How we can download directly from the website? All these things I will tell. And MySQL installer. So MySQL, we are going to use in our program MySQL as a database vendor. So since it's an open source, I'm using a MySQL installer as a vendor. And I given this installer, you can install that. Right now, not required. I will tell you when the database concept comes. Before session, I will tell you. For the next tomorrow session, you can watch the videos and you can install that. And I'm going to use a Postman as a client. Since my Mule applications are REST applications, we need to file some query. REST means what? What is the official protocol? HTTP. So HTTP, to send some HTTP requests and make some method calls like get, put, method, post method, all, we require a Postman to send a request. And SOAP UI, we are going to consume SOAP applications as well from my REST application. So we require some SOAP UI as well. So these are the mandatory softwares required for my program. These are all the things I'm going to give in a one go. Okay. I got a confirmation for all who are joined here. I'm going to share with everyone. Okay. After this session, by tomorrow's session, please download and keep it ready. Okay. Anypoint Studio, please keep it ready. Okay. So first, today I will explain how a flow works, how we can create a project. Tomorrow we will write practically on our system, right? That's what I'm asking. Tomorrow I'm going to give a task in the session itself. You need to work on that session. That means you need to give me the output in the session itself. So I want everyone to install Anypoint Studio, either older version or a newer version on your machine by tomorrow session. Okay. So first
Sujit,
program.
I have 7.8. Is that any issue?
7.8.
Yeah.
7.7, I think.
I think what is the
No,
latest
my
version?
Anypoint Studio. My Anypoint Studio is 7.8, Sujit.
Yeah, latest is 7.8. Yeah.
So this is the I mean new news to me. I suggest 7.7 only because maybe this is a very latest one. When you downloaded that one?
I usually when I was downloaded, it was 7.7. It automatically upgraded to 7.8, Sujit.
How? I don't know why, how, I don't know, but okay, it's fine. But use 7.7 only, or else use 7.5. If you want to work on 7.8, you can work on that. But if there are any changes, I have still not read the release note, so I couldn't help you on that. That is the reason.
Okay, Sujit.
Yeah. So use 7.7 or 7.6 or 7.5, which I'm giving. Okay, any of this one. Still, if you want to go with the 7.8 also, that's fine. I don't think so much major changes will be there. Small changes that will be helpful also for me. While you're practicing, if you tell anything it's not working, so that I can work on that. It will be helpful for me.
Okay, Sujit.
Yeah, you can use any. Okay. Right now, I want output from my. Yes.
In real time in industry, what version they are using? 7.5.
Your voice is, I mean, not clear. Someone is speaking. Can you please tell your
Hello.
name and speak?
Sujit, this is Raju.
Yes, Raju, tell me.
In industry, which version they are using? Real time.
Real time means what? First thing, what do you mean by real time?
Means in industry. Suppose we have to
Industry.
implement one.
You can use
in
any.
environment.
In development environment, you can use any.
Okay.
That is the contract between the client and you. That means with the MuleSoft and your organization. Okay, accordingly. You can use any for that matters. If you are using on your laptops, they are giving any trial versions only. See, they are telling as a trial version, these are whenever you extract that zip file, automatically it will be extracted. Right? Automatically start at 30 days again. Okay, you can use any format for that matters. Okay, you need to aware what are the changes.
Okay.
From my mule application, I want to get an output as hello world. So you might have seen in many training programs, if you already have worked on any other programming language, hello world. I will also take hello world only. What is wrong in it? So I want the output from my mule application as a hello world, right? From the postman, that means everything will be, as I said yesterday, first I am going to write or talking on the implementation. I'm going to treat the request coming from the postman, from the client, as a requirement. Assume that my client is giving some request in this way. What is this 8081? What is this demo? I will explain. So this is the request. What type of request it is?
HTTP request.
HTTP request. So I'm getting some HTTP request. Who is getting that? Assume that this rectangular box is the mule application, right? Now, HTTP request, we are getting into this flow. I will call this as a flow. In mule, we can write a flows. Now, in this flow, I want to listen to this request. So I can configure one component. What is that component? I will call listener. Because it is listening for the request on some port. By default, my listener will listen on some port called 8081. Okay, by default 8081, right? What type of listener it is? What type of request it is listening to? HTTP request. So it's an HTTP listener. Every flow in a mule contains three parts: source, process, and one more part,
Error handling.
error handler. Error handler. We are not going to discuss about error handling as of now. We will concentrate on a source and a process part. Normally, what type of components we can configure in a source part? Yes. Inbound endpoints. Why I'm calling this as an inbound endpoint? This HTTP listener as an inbound endpoint because it is accepting the request into the flow. It is accepting the request into the flow. Okay, that's why it is an inbound endpoint, right? Now, what this inbound endpoint will do? See, this topic is very, very important. Please concentrate. Okay, once you understand this session, the remaining MuleSoft is a cakewalk. So you need to understand how flow works, right? So I configure a HTTP listener. I'm calling this as an inbound endpoint because it is accepting the request into the flow, right? So what is the responsibility of this inbound endpoint? Whenever I'm getting a
Receiving the
HTTP request, assume that one message, HTTP message got created. What is the structure of a message? Header and the body.
Header
That
and
means
body.
header and a body. What type of message it is? HTTP message, plain message, right? Now, my HTTP listener will listen for that request, and what is the responsibility of that? It will convert that plain HTTP request into mule related message. That means mule related request. So mule message, I will call this as a mule message. When it is converting, these headers will be flow as an attributes. This body will be flow as a, I'm using a terminology called payload. What do you mean by payload? Payload is nothing but your body. Okay, body of that message. Okay, now for understanding purpose, I said from message to message, but actually the HTTP listener will listen for this HTTP message and it will create one event. That structure called, this structure called mule event. Mule event. This mule event contains two parts again. The design itself, the mule event structure contains two parts. What are those? Variables and
mule message.
Very good. It's a mule message. Mule message contains two parts again. What are those?
Attributes and payload.
Attributes and a payload. So what is the responsibility of my inbound endpoint? Yes.
To receive the HTTP message and convert into mule message. I mean mule
Not
event.
mule message, mule event. Right? Now, what is the structure of a mule event? Yeah, we have 16 to 17 people, no one responding. Quickly, what is the structure of a mule event?
It has mule message and variables.
Okay, that means what? Mule message again comprises of attributes and payload. So can I call that mule event is a structure of attributes, payload, and a variable, right? So my HTTP listener will convert that request into event. That event will be kept in an internal memory queue, right? Now in this internal memory queue, what is the event structure? Attributes, payload, and variables. All are empty. All are empty, right? Now what is the output I required? Ultimately, at the end of the application, I want the hello world as a body, right? So I want to set this plain text hello world as a payload value. How can I set that value? In Mule, there is one transformer called set payload transformer. Okay, set payload. By seeing the name itself, we can understand we can set some payload value where in the incoming event, right? What that set payload will read that incoming event. What is the structure of an event here? Attributes, payload, and the variables all are empty, right? That event will be read by the set payload, and in the configuration in the set payload, what I can do, I can set the value by using some language called data view expression. What is the syntax of data view expression? hash and a square bracket. A mule runtime is able to understand whenever it have hash and square bracket, it will understand it's a data view expression, and whatever you write in the data view expression will be, that means whatever you write in that two square brackets will be considered as a data view expressions, right? I'm going to introduce a small data view expression here, and actually to talk about data view it's not a right time, but I just introduce a small data view expression. So simply I'm writing I'm going to write some value called hello world, simple plain text in the data view expression, right? Now after this set payload, what is the event structure? Can you please tell me what is this event structure? Attributes, empty
Attributes
attributes, payload.
Attributes,
and
payroll, and variables
payload is
are
hello world
Payload is having some value called hello world, and
and
variables,
variables empty.
right? So at the end of this flow, what is the event structure? This is the event structure just now we discussed, right? That event will be given back to the listener, right? It given back to the listener. In the listener, I will show the configuration. Just I'm telling the glance here. The listener is responsible to give the response back to the client. How? What is the response will be given back to the client? Entire event? No, we cannot give entire event. Only we can give the body, right? So in the HTTP listener, there is something called responses, right? The structure of the response is divided into two. If the flow is success, there is a success response. If we have any exception at a flow level, there is an error response. We will not talk about error response right now. When I talk about error handling, we will talk about the error response. Assume that my flow is success. At the end of the flow, the event is given back to the listener. Now, in that listener, I have a response tab. In that response tab, if at all it is success, by default, the body will be displayed to the client is payload by default. If you don't want to display the payload to the client, you can write any other. Okay, whatever you write in this listener response tab, that will be displayed to the client. Got my point? Clear?
yes, cleared, Sujit.
Okay. Now I will configure one more component here. I will name this as a logger. What this logger will do? Whatever you write in this message in the logger, whatever the configuration you have given, that will be given onto the console. This is useful for the developer. What is the response given to the client? If you want to check, simply write a data view expression called payload. Again, payload is a keyword in a data view language. So if you write that payload keyword called payload in a two square brackets, what it understands, it is going to extract the value of the payload in the event, right? So what is propagating between the processors here? What is propagating between the processors?
Payload.
Event, entire event is propagating between the processes, right? That's why mule follows what approach? Event
Driven approach.
Very good. Event driven approach. Why you understood now? Between the processors, event will be driven, right? Whenever you get a request, one event will be created. What and all are the part of that event? If you create any variable, that is also part of your event. So wherever the event propagates, there you can extract the attributes, you can modify the payload, and you can extract the variables as well. And you can create a new variables also in that event, right? So hope you understood how Mule works behind the scenes. Any questions here? I mean, I completed very fast within 10 minutes. Usually it will take some time.
Sujit, can you explain from first onwards once again HT1?
Clear? Any questions here?
Sujit, it was been clear. Can you tell from HTTP when the request come and when it will be going to insert into HTTP listener?
I didn't
Can you
get your
go
point. Sorry.
Can you go through once for all things once
Okay, you
again?
want to me repeat again?
Yes, yes.
So remaining guys, everyone understood clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Can anyone help me by explaining this? Can anyone explain this? What I told just now, so that I can correct if you are thinking in a wrong way. Shiva, I will explain it again. Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
Just I want to check how many of you
Mm.
understood clearly.
Can I go?
Please. Yes, please, please.
Yeah. First, the muel application will receive HTTP message, and HTTP listener will receive this message, and this is called the inbound endpoint. And the message will be like HTTP message has a header and body, and in between the set payload there is a channel, so there it converts into mule message, so which is nothing but a mule event.
Who will convert into mule message? HTTP listener itself.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I will explain. I will explain. Again, I will explain one more time.
No, I think event is convert.
I will tell. So first, this flow is a mule flow, right? In that mule flow, I will draw it again. 1 second.
From postman onwards, we'll receive the request.
Yeah, from the client, either it could be a postman, a browser, whatever it is. From the client, I'm receiving a request. The flow is receiving a request. To listen for this HTTP request, we require HTTP listener. I configured a HTTP listener. So listener will listen for that request on port called. Some port should be there. Some socket should be open to listen that request to establish a connection, right? So the port number is 8081. My HTTP listener is listening on 8081 port. Then what my listener will do will receive that plain request and convert that request into, that means that is the responsibility of the inbound endpoint here, that will convert that request into mule event. Okay, it will create a mule event. Now after the listener, what is the event structure? As of now, from the request, am I getting any attributes from this request? No, that's why empty attributes. Am I posting any data here through the body, through the request? No.
Yeah.
Empty payload. Body means what? Payload. Empty payload. Then did I create any variable here? No. As of now, I'm not creating any variable. So this is the standard structure of an event. Now that event will be read by the one of the component called set payload. Why I'm using this set payload? Because I want the ultimate output of my application as a hello world. I want to set this hello world plain text as a body in the event. So I'm using a transformer called set payload transformer. Got my point? So in this set payload, I'm writing some data view expression. If you don't want to write a data view expression, you can ignore it. You can simply write a literal. That means you can simply write a plain text also. Assume that I'm writing a hello world. Okay. Simply that means what? We are setting some value called hello world in that event. That means I'm setting that hello world as a value in that payload in that event. Now, what is the structure of an event after the set payload? I have done some modifications by using the set payload, right? In the event, what is the event structure right now? Attributes, empty attributes. Payload, yes.
Payload
I
and
have some
variables.
hello world, but variable empty, right? So again, I use the logger. What is the logger is doing here? In the logger, again, I written a data view expression and I used a keyword called payload. Okay. Keyword, I'm again mentioning in the data view expression language, there is a keyword like a keyword or a function called payload is a function. What that function will do, it will extract the value of the payload in the event, in the incoming event, right? That will be logged onto the console. Got it? Now, at the end of the logger and at the end of the application, what is the event structure? Attributes, payload with a value and a variables. That means empty variable. That entire event will be given back to the listener. In the listener, I have a one more tab called response tab. Okay, in the listener itself, there is a sub tab called response. In that response, there are, that response tab have a two blocks. If the event is success, that means entire flow is success, this block will get executed. If your event is exception, error event will be created. That error event is given back to the listener. That means the error response will be given to the client. So right now my application is success. So success event is given to the listener. So listener, in the listener, what it will be giving as a, the body to the client, what it will be displayed to the client as a body, whatever you write under the body column, it will be displayed. Suppose by default, what it will be displayed? Payload. What is the value of the payload in the event? That will be displayed to the client. Hello world will be displayed to the client. If you don't want hello world to be displayed, you can write your name also, Siva. The Siva will be displayed to the client. Got my point here? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah, clear, Sujit.
Everyone, is it clear? This is very, very important session. That means this concept is very important. In any other training program, you will not get this explanation. Please try to understand, please utilize this.
The whole programs will be like this only.
Program in the sense?
Normal for each development tasks will be this flow only. If
Yes,
we get
everything is a flow. Mule application, we write a flows. This is the graphical representation. Basically, this is the graphical representation. We can drag and drop set payload, we can drag and drop a listener, we can drag and drop a HTTP listener. In that, whatever the writing you are configuring, behind the scenes, XML will get created. For the set payload, one XML. That means one XML tag. For logger, one XML tag. For HTTP listener, one XML tag. Right? Behind the scenes, it will get created. You are not going to write this. Only just drag and drop. Automatically, the corresponding code will get generated.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah. What about others? Everyone clear?
You told whole thing was been event-driven application, right?
Event-driven approach.
Event-driven up. What is the meaning of that event-driven?
Just now I explained, no?
Okay,
Event
whole
is
thing.
propagating between the processes. That event is processed by the processors. So event is driven throughout the application.
Okay. Yeah.
Try to understand, okay? Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Any
other questions?
Sujit, you
Yes,
said
please.
like mule application. Yeah, mule application has three parts: source, process, and error handling.
Exactly.
So without error handling also we can run this mule application. So my question is like without process also we can run the mule application just using the source?
Yes, we can.
I just want to know like what are the mandatory parts in this?
Yes, we can. Suppose you are using a file system, okay? You want to process a file, okay? Now I will create one mule application, okay? In that mule application, I will create a flow. In that flow, in the source part, I will configure on new or updated file, okay? One component called on new or updated. What this will do, whenever new file is added, my file endpoint will pull onto this and it will process. I don't have any processor here. I can deploy, it will be processed. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Logger and set payload and these events will be on process side. Only listener will be on source. Okay.
Not, we should not tell specifically only the listener. Any data, my flow is fetching the data. That means source means you should understand.
Okay.
Source means what? We are sourcing the data into the flow.
Yes, entry point. Yeah.
Entry point, like an entry point. It could be a listener, or as I said just now, inbound endpoint. That means on your updated. Okay, not only the listeners. We cannot generalize that.
Okay.
So why I was giving a lot of time, please analyze and think how it works. Practically I will show you this flow again. Practically I will show you. We cannot see the internal memory queues. Okay, just for understanding purpose I said here. Okay, only we can see the components. Got my point? So let me share this folder. So who and all here paid the fees and confirmed the batch for this batch, right? Last time I'm asking.